So Dave, super excited to talk about this topic because it is something that we find that a lot of clients don't understand their options about options. All kidding aside, how do option strategies work and how do they coincide with them having concentrated stock and they want to keep it, but they're maybe scared of volatility in the market? So talk a little bit about what a client can do or how they can utilize option strategies in that conversation.
True. Great dad joke around the options on the options. Yeah, this is a great topic and happy to sort of unpack this a little bit. One of the common things that we see when it comes to concentrated positions is clients like the idea of diversifying, but for many reasons, they might not actually take action on that. And we sort of generalize this in a sort of three different client personas that we deal with. The first is what we call the risk aware client, right? This could be a client of ours that says, I've done really well with the stock. It's highly appreciated, but I might want to take some chips off the table, or I really just don't want the stress of this. So that's like one persona that we'll unpack some different options around what they could consider. The second persona is what I like to refer to as maybe the emotionally attached client. They may have worked for this company for 30 years, right? They've seen many different management teams. They've seen the stock do extremely well, especially when it comes to other positions in their portfolio. They may have some emotional attachment to the stock, like their parent or grandfather started the company and it's now public. And so there may be some emotional attachment there. And we'll unpack that a little bit here in a moment. And then the kind of third persona that we see is what I like to call the highly convicted client. So this is a client that generally loves the stock, feels like it's never going to go down. They've done extremely well with it, especially when comparing it to like a diversified portfolio and saying, hey, well, my target date fund in my retirement plan has underperformed this stock in particular. And I expect it to do well because I'm an insider. I'm on the management team. I know this company's going to do well. And so we call that the highly convicted client. And so just a couple of things to consider here around what options are available and understanding the different nuances of all of these is really all of these client personas allow for a client to still do things to hedge their risk. There's a few strategies I'll unpack and areas that I think would be very beneficial for a client, in particular in each one of those client personas. But a couple things to consider if you're watching this video. One, what is the percentage of stock that I own with my current concentrated position of the company that I work for? Is it 5%, 10%, 20%? I think knowing that is a really key piece. Secondarily, what's my cost basis? What's the taxation around me selling this highly concentrated position? And am I okay with realizing any amount of capital gains there? Ultimately comes the question of what can you do? So I want to talk about what strategies can be utilized to help in each of these situations. The first is a covered call strategy. And how a covered call strategy works is you would be the seller of an option. And so you would collect a premium by creating a strike price that's generally far out of the money to generate income from that concentrated position. What a lot of clients will do is they'll use that income to then diversify the portfolio in other asset classes. So we have many clients of ours that have highly appreciated stock that they'll write a covered call strategy. They'll take that premium that they get each year from writing those contracts, and they'll use that to put into a well-diversified portfolio, essentially bringing down the concentration percentage of that single position as it relates to their overall net worth or liquid net worth. The second strategy is taking that covered call strategy one step further but really this is designed for the client that may have that high conviction for the stock, that says this stock's going to go up no matter what. I'm not necessarily interested in selling or diversifying my position today, but I just in case I'm wrong, I want to maybe hedge my position a little bit. And so by creating a collared strategy, which is the second option strategy that's available, you're effectively selling that covered call, collecting the premium, and instead of you using that income to go buy other securities, you're using it to buy a put option on the stock, which really protects you from the downside movement of that stock and the volatility. The third strategy that I'm going to talk about is around strategic liquidation. And this is really for that client that says, I really want to take some chips off the table, but I'm really nervous about the taxation of this. And so what ultimately is done here is that we use the covered call strategy to generate income, and then we strategically sell stock, generating a long-term capital gains tax. And that tax can often be paid for from the income that we generate from selling that covered call. And so this can be a way that a client can liquidate positions over time, taking risk off the table by having less concentration. But instead of them having to use their own money to pay taxes, they can use the premium that they collect from the covered call strategy to ultimately pay or offset some of the long-term cap gains tax. So there's a couple other strategies here around options. If you want to learn more about those or have questions on any of these potential options for you and your situation, I'd encourage you to hop on our website at instrumentalwealth.com, schedule some time with one of our advisors, message us through social media. We'd love to have a deeper conversation with you around this topic if it's of interest.